understand that. I mean, Google is a big search box, that's why it is the #1 search engine. It makes a lot of sense. If they had said 5 clicks to go to the first search box, they would never have come where they are right now. And the same way we would have never become the world's biggest website by just not understanding what our users are wanting to do. And this is what the design pattern library is about. The other thing that I want to quickly talk about is exceptional performance. This is not about developers in Yahoo, but this is about your websites, how to make them fast, how to make them available as soon as possible. And every time you're on a hotel network or you're on a bad connection at home, you just realize just how annoying it can be if a website takes a while to load. Because I really want to have the information. I don't want to wait for the video to download. I don't want for Google Analytics to take 2 minutes before the page is actually loading. I just want to have a website. And in the exceptional performance, we analyze all the tricks that we do on websites to make them faster. Why do Yahoo websites render really quickly? And we cut that up into all kind of information about the content, the server, cookies, CSS, JavaScript, images, mobile, and all of them. And all the information is available for you. And that was done by Steve Sawdust. He will run that team. He's now at Google, and he wrote a lot of books about performance, like high-performance websites and building scalable websites. And this information is still run by us and by Google together. So all kind of information about exceptional performance you can find here. And actually we wrapped it up in a system for you. So if you take a website, for example, let's say, let's go to my blog and see what's going on there. So this is my blog loading right now. It's not the fastest in the world because I basically think you should read my RSS feed rather than going to my blog. But that's ridiculously slow right now, which is actually not a bad thing because I can show you then why, what's happening under the hood. So there we go. Here's my blog with a few pictures and lots of text, which I normally just do blogging about. So if I have Firefox installed, and in my Firefox I have, Jesus, what's loading there? In my Firefox I've got Firebug. Okay, that's just weird. Oh, it's the videos, that's what it is. I found that videos here are really slow. YouTube is not the fastest, it seems. But I get the same one actually in a lot of countries. So just have something without a video, that should load a lot faster. Okay. So in Firebug, I've got this Y-slow here. So who uses Firebug? Is it the best thing ever? I mean, if I had Firebug 10 years ago, I probably would not be developing anymore. Because you just you find out what's going on in the website. You can highlight anything. You can say, okay, what's that here? And you can get the layout, the DOMs tree. You can go through it. You understand what's going on. And if you go through Y-slow right now, you can actually click the grade button, and it finds all the different things that are in the website and analyzes them, and then tells you what's going on. So it says I've got a grade F, so that's the American style of A to F. F is the worst, A is the best. So I make too many HTTP requests. I've got 16 internal JavaScripts on that one. I've got 9 external style sheets, and I've got 13 external background images. So it tells me I should actually do something with them and make them into one image, make them into one JavaScript include, make them into one CSS include. I did not know I had that many JavaScripts going. It's probably the Discuss system that I'm using, and the Facebook login, and the Google Analytics, and all the different systems that I've been using there. I put one in after another and didn't realize it. So I realize now I got to do something about this. The same with DNS lookups, all of these JavaScripts are on different servers, and some of them is not minified, and other things I did really, really well. So I can filter them by saying give me only the content, give me only the CSS tips, give me only the image tips, and get all this information there. So that's pretty cool if you go for a client, and the client says oh, my website is great. and you just show them like, you know what, I could make this website a lot faster because these things are wrong and are really easy to fix. And that's something that gives you a lot of credibility. And when you ask like, oh yeah, why should I trust you with this? You say like, because Yahoo and Google does it. And that normally shuts them up. That's really good. So you also have the components that you can see. So you know which ones are the ones that are actually the biggest ones. So you see Discuss comes down here with 15K. And there's another one, JavaScript being loaded. There's 140K JavaScript coming from Discuss. So I did not know that Discuss was the thing that slowed down my page the most, but I know now that's the case because Discuss loads like lots and lots of JavaScript that I didn't know yet. My Google Ads and my stat counter don't do too much, so that's all fine. So I'm actually not to blame. My own JavaScript is okay. All the things that I put in the page is the ones that make it slow. And that's a great thing to realize when your products are bad or when your products don't perform well. Just run them through YSlow and see what's going on there. When it becomes really cool is as well when you go through the statistics of it, where you get a lowdown of all the things that are happening right now. So you know that the JavaScripts are actually here, the futures things, together with the images. And then you know this is basically when the cache is completely empty, and once the page has been done, all of these things get a lot less. So the first time I read 392K at 92K, second time I got 42K, which is much, much better. You can also say like we have the YSlow and the classic one. This is a small-sided block here, so before that YSlow only was according to the rules that Yahoo has. That don't apply to everybody because you're not as big as Yahoo yet, maybe later. But we'll see about that. So, tools is another interesting thing where you can run your JavaScript through JSLint to see if there's a JavaScript error that actually makes the whole thing slow. You see all the JavaScript in one code. You can actually look at the JavaScript and get it beautified. So it actually makes it readable for you as well. So you know what's going on there. So I say like, okay, I've got the Discuss one here. Oh, let's take a look at Google Analytics. That's not really beautified, but that's because it's already minified by them. You have a CSS compressor that allows you to minify your CSS and actually realize what's going on. And CSS is one of those things that people always do wrong. Because you probably got this. You got a website with a CSS from somebody else, and instead of reading through CSS, you just added another line at the bottom with a massive selector to override what has been done before. And we do that all the time. I remember visitbritain.com used to be 300 lines of CSS when I wrote it, and 2 years later it was 4,750 CSS lines. Facebook, before a friend of mine went there as a contractor, had 1.3 megabytes of CSS being downloaded on the main page. Now it's down to like 200K or something like that. And she also worked on that team, Nicole Sullivan. If you want to really learn about CSS optimization, she has a really good blog about this. She also built a Smooshit, which is a really, really interesting tool because what it does, it analyzes your images. Your images actually are file formats. So if you take a look at an image, you realize there's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't make any sense because visibly it doesn't make a difference. So every photo has EXIF data, for example, in there. Every time you create a JPEG with Photoshop, Photoshop puts its name in there, which version and which user has actually built that tool. That's why you can actually recognize when people use stolen Photoshops to actually build images with. And what Smooshit does, it actually takes all the images that you have and it analyzes them. So it now says like, okay, I've got 7.71K from the toolbar sprite, and that one is 1.67K less, or 17.82%. So without you having to know all these tricks, how to get all the information out of these images that are not necessary, Smooshit does that automatically for you, runs it through all these images for you, and then offers you a zip file of all these images. So even if you don't know anything about image optimization in terms of file size optimization, you can actually run it through Smooshit, download the zip file, re-upload it to your server, and you save, in this case now I would have saved 35K on my whole blog by just running it through this system. And that's something that you can automate as a build process that you can do in any of these systems that you want to. So that's Smooshit, and that's one of the extensions that we put inside Firebug. So look at YSlow because it really makes a lot of sense if you just want to analyze what your traffic is doing and what your website is doing. There's also Google PageSpeed, which is another extension, but they're actually working together quite nicely. They're not really in competition. Good. So that is more or less all we have on here, except for the documentation, which is a lot of stuff. So everything we build comes with a documentation that is written by a professional team. It's not like a lot of times you have open source systems that are wonderful, but the first line of documentation is like, just use the man Unix command to find about bus, build this in your command line and that, and you're like, okay, I don't even know what you're doing here anymore. So we wrote documentation that is understandable for end users. Oh, that's good. And the wireless just went down. Dun, dun, dun. Good. So you have the guides for all of our systems. So you say Yahoo Maps, Hadoop, Blueprint, and so on and so forth. Say, for example, you want to learn about the Yahoo Local API. You click on the link, and you get information about what the system is, where to apply for an app ID to get that system, what are the available things, and you normally get some links that actually allows you to see the information that you could get from that system immediately. So without having to go through documentation yourself, you already see if it's going to work for you or not. It gives you a sample response. It tells you how many times you can use it per day. So all the information is available for you there in a very detailed fashion. The other thing is a lot of them are downloadable, so in your pack you will have some of these like one-pagers about all these systems. That's always quite cool to leave on your desk if you just don't want to go online or you just want to use it quickly, because I found myself not wanting to read online documentation all the time. I talked about support already. These are the forums, and then you have resources. Other resources we have in terms of, we have language centers for all technologies that you want to build on, like Flash, Java, JavaScript, .NET, PHP, Python, Ruby, and Silverlight. You have Yahoo Press, which is, together with O'Reilly, we're releasing books that Yahoo people are actually writing in the company. So you have events, which is the Hack Universities, which we haven't done here yet, but I've been in several countries where we go to universities, and for 24 hours we let university students play with our technology and coach them and help them to build something that they haven't done before. So hands-on, tell them about what our technologies are about and what they can build for the web. You've got Boomerang, which is a JavaScript library that allows you to realize how fast your server is. So a lot of times you think you're already fast on the web and you did all the optimization with YSlow that I talked about before, but then you found your website is still slow and you don't know why. And Boomerang actually allows you to send off a packet to the internet that goes around and it measures how fast it actually comes from your server from different parts of the world. So you can see how fast your server is on the web, which is sometimes really good to talk to your providers as well. If they say, well, our server is fast, it must be a website. Most of the time it's actually some DNS server in between that actually slows it down. We talked about Smooshit and we talked about YSlow before, and then we had some SDKs there. So this is the main page where you actually start developing with Yahoo products and where all the information is. There's a wonderful shortcut to everything, which is cleverly named everything.html, where you can say developer.yahoo.com/everything.html, and there is a shortcut to all the different systems that I talked about without having to click through the whole navigation and finding out what's going on here. So let's talk quickly about Flickr. Flickr is the world's biggest photo sharing website, and it's just I've been using it for 4 years, and it's just wonderful what kind of people you meet and where you go and what's going on. So let's hope there's no embarrassing photos of me right now there. No, it's about a speaking out event, so that's good. So on Flickr, you have all these photos that actually automatically get converted for you into different formats. people can comment on them, people can favorite them, and you get all this information through the API of Flickr to actually get use into your own systems as well later on. So if you want to have, for example, photos for a great presentation and don't want to pay money for that, you can actually search for pictures of